Hi, I'm Paul, and in this video I'm going to show you how to record a Décor 1-inch blind with the standard cord lock. Okay, so here we are at the blind. I have my old damaged cords here that need to be removed. I can see on the tag that this blind is 30 inches in width by 30 inches in height. I'm going to add the width plus the height and maybe add an additional 12 to 15 inches of cord or so just to have some extra cord. So 30 inches of cord, I'm going to hold it here to the end of the tape measure and bring that back. So here's 60 inches of cord, and I'll just give myself a bit extra, and let's just repeat that process. And this blind only has 2 cord routes, so I've cut 2 lengths of cord. So next what I want to do is go ahead and remove the 2 bottom rail plugs to get at the lift cord knotted off in the bottom rails. I'll go from the back, and these pretty easily will just pop right off. If I look inside here, I can remove the ladder and the remaining lift cord. I'm going to carefully cut just the lift cord right at that crimp, being very careful not to cut any of the ladder whatsoever. I don't want to damage this ladder. That's going to lead to a different repair or possibly a remake of the blind. And we'll do that on all the cord routes for the blind. So what I'm going to do here is begin with the cord that doesn't have any damage. And I'm going to identify that. If I slightly pull on it, I can see that it's this cord right here. What I want to do is take the length of the new cord, and I like to hold it between my fingers like that, and I'm going to take the length of the old cord and kind of hold them together right here. I'm going to go ahead and just apply a little bit of heat carefully, and not too much, just to soften the ends, and pinch those together and weld the cords together. Now what I can do is begin to pull the cord out of the bottom rail. I can see my new cord coming in. Here's the weld right there. And that's going to continue into the cord lock. I'm going to be a little careful here as it takes that turn through the cord lock. If I feel any resistance, I may help the cord through a little bit here. And I want to make sure the slats stay even side to side here so that the cord can travel smoothly through the cord routes in the slat. And we'll just keep pulling carefully. And here's my weld. I'll go ahead and cut that away and remove my old cord. So before I go any further, I'll go ahead and take a washer here. I have one in my hand, and just feed that new cord through. And I'll tie a quick double over knot just so I don't lose this cord back into the blind at all. I'm going to cut away that extra tail, and I can go ahead and just pull that cord now until it enters into the bottom rail. The remaining cord here was a bit damaged, but you may receive these blinds in a number of different conditions, with a broken cord, or maybe the cord is just gone entirely. So in this situation where a cord is completely removed, I'm going to need to feed the new cord completely through the head rail, through the cord lock, across the width of the head rail, and get it down through the slats. So I'm taking a look at my cord lock with the separator here. The new cord is to the front. I want to make sure that this cord is going to the back. And I always want to balance out the cords. Just make sure that they're separated completely. So because the cord lock is pretty small and kind of a confined space, I want to feed the lacing tool between the bail and the guide, and I'm aiming for the back of that separator. So as I turn this over, I can see here's my new cord, and here's my lacing tool that's coming out the back of the separator. Now I'll take my new cord and just feed it through the lacing tool, and I can go ahead. We'll carefully flip this back over, and I'm going to pull that cord right through. So here I am with my remaining cord. It's through the cord lock between the bail and the guide right here. Here's my other new cord going behind the tilt control, and I need to feed this through that same path. So I'm going to go ahead and guide this cord behind the tilt control, and I'm just going to grab that and pull it through. making sure that the cord stays within the confines of this cord lock, and I didn't get it twisted around the other cord at all. So now I'm ready to feed the remaining cord through this tape roll support and underneath the tape roll. What's easiest to do is to go ahead and take something like a lacing tool, and I'm going to feed it underneath the tape roll right through the middle. I can then take my cord and I'll just pull that right through. So I've repeated that process and pulled that cord all the way across the width of the headrail, and I'm here to my remaining tape roll and where the cord is going to route through the slats. Through the route right in the middle, and you can see the angle of my lacing tool here. It's angling back towards the cord lock, and I'm going to feed that in, and I can see that my lacing tool has come out here, and I'm just going to double check, making sure that I haven't accidentally wrapped around the ladder at all. We'll feed the cord through, and I'm going to gently pull that right through. And just make sure the slats are as straight as possible. And I want to make sure the ladder is kind of contained in this area here where all the punches are in the slats. I'm going to bring in this case, my zip tie. I kind of like this a little better. And I've slightly modified this by drilling a hole through the end of it here. And I'm going to start with the bottom slat. There are ladders here that the cord needs to interlace around each ladder that's holding each slat. We can see the rungs of the ladder here. So I need to interlace left to right. So I've come through the first hole and I'm to the right of that ladder. As I come through the next hole, I want to shift to the left and make sure I'm on the left side of that ladder there. And I'm just going to continue this process until I get to the very top slat. I want to be careful that as I'm going through here, I don't want to go between these smaller cords here. I also want to make sure I don't inadvertently loop myself around the outside of the ladder. So we're getting pretty close. I'm almost to the top. The other thing I'm keeping in mind here is with the slat pack, I'm making sure that these all stay in the same direction as I continue to lace through. All right, so here we are at the second slat from the top. Now this space is pretty tight and I really don't want to flex or damage this slat at all right here at the spacer and the punch. So what might be a little easier is just to manually feed the cord through the top slat. Pull that right through. In doing that, I've made sure that I didn't loop the lift cord around the ladder, and I went through the punch and through this plastic piece. It's called a tape spacer, and that's there to hold this top slat in place. So now I have the lift cord through the top slat. I can see my lacing tool here with the hole in it, and I'm going to feed that right through. Again, making sure I haven't looped around the ladder here at all. That cord is through my lacing tool. Now I'm just going to carefully pull straight down, and I'm pulling that cord right through the entire slat pack. I can now feed the cord through the hole and right out the bottom, and I'll go ahead and add my washer and my double over knot. So here we have my cord and the washer tied off here. I'm going to make sure that the slats are nice and even here, side to side, and then I can just pull the cord at the cord lock so it's fully seated in the bottom rail. All right, let's go ahead and return the bottom plugs here. My cord is inside and knotted off, and I'm going to feed this crimp and just sort of tuck it right into that hole in the bottom rail. And then I can just square up this front to back, and we'll just snap that right into place. And let's just repeat that process. And now we're ready to hang the blind and finish the cord with the finished length. I'm going to go ahead and lower the blind, and while I'm doing this, I might raise and lower it just to make sure that the path of the cord feels smooth and the cord lock is working. I'll now fully lower the blind until it won't lower any further. The ability of the blind to raise and lower in a level fashion will be how I attach the cord connector here in a level fashion. The blind is fully lowered. Just give it a slight tug just to make sure the ladders are fully extended. And I'll take my two lift cords and just give them both a little tug, not raising the blind, but just making sure I've taken all the slack out of the cord. Now with the blind fully lowered, the cord connector needs to hang about 3 inches below the bottom edge of the head rail. So right here, that's 1, 2, 3, that's about the 4th slat. So what I like to do is, with the blind fully lowered and the cords evenly pulled on, I'm going to hold them evenly and just make a very slight mark across both cords right at that 4th slat. I'm going to go ahead and cut away some excess cord, maybe just 5 or 6 inches below my mark. So I'm going to go ahead and just raise the blind slightly, just so I have some extra cord to work with. So let's take my first cord and feed it through the connector. And what I'm doing is looking for that mark that I made on the cord, and I want the knot to live right next to that mark. And as I pull down, the knot's going to move up the cord and be above the knot. And that just gives me a reference point to easily set the knot. Let's repeat the same process for the other half of the connector. So we have our connectors connected, and let's remove any extra cord, maybe just leaving 3/16 or 1/4 of an inch of cord right below the knot. Now I'm ready to connect the safety connectors, and if I've worked on this, I can see the cords have started to twist around each other. I might just make sure, I'm going to comb through these with multiple cords, just making sure they're not twisted around each other. Get all that cord tucked in there. I'm going to snap that together. I hear a good audible click, and I see that the halves of the connector are totally together. There's no separation, there's no space here at all. My last step is just to check the operation of the blind, making sure that everything stays level as I raise and lower it. What I like to do is to check the spacing as the slat pack is touching the next slat. And if it's out of level, it becomes very apparent. And as I continue to raise it, I just want to make sure that the slat pack stacks nice and evenly to the top. And that's taking a look at how to record a Décor 1-inch with the standard cord lock.